South Africa's unemployment rate, which has dropped slightly by 0.6% to 33.9%, according to Stats SA. The figure has gone down from 34.5% in the previous period. More than 600,000 new jobs were created during that same time frame. Let's get the reaction now of Siyabulela Mama, who's with the Assembly for the Unemployed. Siyabulela, it appears then that unemployment in the country, welcome to Daytime Update, is dropping ever so slightly. Are you more encouraged now as you were perhaps a year ago?
So, Tembekile, if you look closely into the stats, most of the jobs are jobs that come from community service. And that tells you, it tells you about the issue of how precarious work even has came handy in this. And this is what we're looking at. So most of the jobs are covered by EPWP and community health workers, this is highly precarious work. But then also another contradictory thing is the decrease in the number of discouraged workers, the people who are not economically active. So this shows you again that there's no such that if you give people jobs, people will take any jobs if they get. There's no such thing as economically not active. So when we make when we look at the statistics, we must look at the expanded definition of unemployment. We should actually scrap but what we should be looking at is the issue of the expanded definition. And what we have been calling for is the quality of jobs that we're talking about, not precarious, casualized work.
And unemployment in South Africa remains, and we've been repeating this for quite a while now, gendered, and clearly there's a racial slant. When you look at it, 37% of the black population is still without work. When you look at unemployment among black women, that's even higher at 39.3%.
It also tells you the contradiction of this system and this system of neoliberalism, this system of capitalism, that actually this economy relies on the unrecognized work of women, the unrecognized work of social reproduction, and how the work that's happening at home with homemakers is actually the one that's making this system run better. And that's what does statistics tell us, that this economy is actually reliant on the notion of homemakers through social reproduction and unrecognized work that is done by women in the home to actually make this system work better in terms of the work that's happening at home for ironing, for men to go to work, for washing clothes, and for cooking, so that when men come back to work, they could get to eat. And this is exactly what this proves, that this economy relies on the unrecognized, unpaid work of women in the home. And this is the reason also why we have been talking about the need for a basic income grant, because the basic income grant will also cover this important work that is done by women.
I want to talk to you about the youth then. When you look at young people in the, let me look at it properly now, 25 to 34 age group, over 41% of them are unemployed. And you referenced earlier community work, EPWP projects, which are those people who you'd find in townships working, cleaning some other areas as well. Those aren't long-term jobs for young people who actually want to be able at times to make enough money to not just take care of themselves, but younger siblings still going through school, younger siblings still trying to get through varsity, for example.
And that's just one dangerous phenomenon. When you have majority of your young people, and And even young people that do have work, it's another problem. So they in internship programs, apprenticeship programs, learnership programs that would last for 3 months, 5 months, but it's to just get them to be productive, to be working. And that's a very dangerous phenomenon. But at the same time, you have a number of young people who are unemployed. And this tells you something as a country. This tells you that there needs to be in the shift. And the problem here is not even the issue of skills. The problem here is not even the issue of education. Because at the same time, you also have people who have experience, who have skills, but who are also being retrenched, by the way. So this is not also an issue of skills and education, but this is a problem of the system. And this is why we're saying, while we're looking at these issues, we really do a system of reindustrialization. And while we're building this system of reindustrialization, give us a basic income grant. Take the money that's in the GEPF, invest it for industrialization, invest it for a basic income grant. Do away with austerity, and that's what we have been calling for. Because austerity is one, but a key issue to this neoliberal problem and neoliberal policies.
The government responds to those calls from organizations such as yours by saying that while it would like to help every South African who's sitting without work today, the reality is its pockets are only so deep and that it cannot afford to pay out those large grants. I mean, at the moment, the issue of the basic income grant is still sitting with a massive question mark, still not clear if when the current dispensation of the SRD, Social Relief of Distress Grant, when that comes to an end in early 2023, we don't know what will happen to those people who at this point are surviving on 350 Rand from government.
Look, we have been saying this, that there is money. I've just mentioned how the GEPF has a reserve of under 2 trillion Rand that sits on its reserves. Workers are contributing 6% to this every month. The employers are doing the same. And why can you not tap into that money to fund a basic income grant? Currently, we have around illicit financial flows, about 300 billion that is being lost through illicit financial flows. So why do you not stop profit shifting? Invest that money. Build the capacity of SARS, by the way, which is also affected by austerity. Build the capacity of SARS to stop illicit financial flows. Take that 300 billion, invest it in the economy so that you could fund a basic income grant. And what I'm telling you, where we're going, and even though people are struggling even with that 350, where we're going back to that July 100. And this time, it will be really, really worse, Tambekile, because the prices of food is going up. Everything is going up, and people are struggling to survive.
With that in mind, then, Siyabulela, do you support the national shutdown that's going to be led by COSATU and SAFTU tomorrow about the issue of the high cost of living and joblessness in this country?
We have written a statement in support of the shutdown, and we actually a part of the shutdown. So tomorrow we are mobilizing all our forces, our comrades, to take part in the shutdown, because the call to end austerity, the call to end the rising conditions of living is the call that all of us do support.
Siyabulela Mama, good to speak to you as always. Thank you, sir.